The vaulted ceiling of early morning and hemlock canopy float around you like a vulture. I can see your fjord water-blue eyes from the bird's eye view. You look up at me, a splayed and pinned Vitruvian man encircled in heavy sleep. You turn your head on a bed of peanut brittle leaves snapping in your ears. Get up, Matt. You are in the woods because you tried to die again. You don't remember how you got there, but there was a handle of vodka that you emptied spun away from you. Some dirty brown dope, too. Throat rusty and raw, steaming with chemical waste, you shake off the pieces of floor clinging to your back and legs and shoelaces. Your head is thick and splitting at the middle where your brow bone bulges. Your pork chop pink petal lips, lovely and improbable in their flat face and sharp angles, pull and twitch in fleshy telegraph rhythms I can't remember anymore while you gather yourself. I don't mean to scare you, Sarah, but one day you might just get a call from someone saying I'm in a ditch somewhere, inconsolably muttering your name over and over. I'm thinking about you in handcuffs, a couple years before I really knew you. Your dad's shoulders filling out that orange jumper you're in and curling forward at the corners. The imitation pine wood table you were shackled to was probably the same imitation cork beige as the one my keyboard is resting on. Your dad's eyes are an even deeper blue than yours. His are usually cut like razors set in dry ice, but they're warmed in bleeding salt water. His massive frame rapidly losing its emotionless turgor, an ocean flowing out of him. Please, Your Honor, my son's tried to kill himself 3 times this year. He just needs help. I don't know what to do anymore. Other than that time you went fishing and he didn't mean to kill that fish, this is the only time you see him cry. Big bad Greg. He's built like a wolf and he's in the business of protecting foreign dignitaries. I wonder when he's kissed you and held you last. Probably not since you were a baby, that fleshy, soft formlessness that he could still relate to. Before you were socialized and began to confuse him, moving with too much agility for him to lock onto you. Cleaning his guns and calculating the chess of his life was much simpler. Point A to B. Black backpack full of tactical gear and clear acetate voices in his ear, driving a bomb-proof Cadillac, but Greg can't protect his baby from his death drive. He kisses my cheek and hugs me, and even though I'm looking at your coffin over his shoulder, I can feel your yearning. He used to choke on his tenderness like it was wrenched out of him, like his heart was gagging. He would cough when he said hello to me softly, trying not to scare me. Our first hug, but he is not opening the door for me so I can bring you waffles with blueberries and watch you iron and starch your shirt. I miss you so much.
누나, 울지 마세요. 나는 괜찮아요. My mom is sitting at my brother's desk, sobbing. I discovered her here in my brother's empty room, wiping her snot and tears with the back of her hand, while she rhythmically crumbles and uncrumples one of my brother's shirts. It is a time at night when we are both wearing only oversized t-shirts. I stand next to her and hold her. We look like 2 adolescent girls at a sleepover. I wonder if my mom and Emo held each other like this when they got the news. He just looks so much like him. My brother is the same age as my mother's little brother when he died. Earlier that day, we moved my brother into a storm. My mom didn't shed a single tear or coo sad I love yous. She doted on him with typical Korean excess instead, fiddling with this and that until the care became unbearable and mutated, like it always does, into a pillow pressed firmly across your face. I finally understand the intensity of our overbearing and anxious parenting. It is inextricably tangled into the whole of human existence. Everyone leaves. My best friend and ex-lover, barely a man, gets locked in a closed casket. Uncle Gab, carrying the entirety of the American dream on his shoulders, droving with youthful promise, falls asleep on his way home. Young and old, bought and familiar, death is indiscriminate. Your love and care is completely irrelevant. Still, you can't help but indulge yourself. You cling to their ankles, but nothing tethers anyone here. That shared blood spills out all over a car seat wrapped around an 18-wheeler just like everyone else's. And then my family huddled closer and folded tighter. Korean immigrants are notoriously insular to begin with, but their words shrunk to a whisper, and my grandma laid in her yoke for 3 months straight, a desiccated carapace of grief. They packed away Gab into a box, and then every earthly artifact into another. I've only seen one picture of him, which I short-sightedly destroyed. My 7-year-old self, still barely relating to human beings, was more interested in the dog in the picture than a stranger with my flesh and blood. I cut out his dog and put it in a locket. His name was Beckel, and he sprang snow everywhere like a purposeful homage to his namesake, an all-white hulking mess of a German shepherd. big ears, brown nose, and Gab's pride and joy. Gab is beaming, and my mom is opening her mouth real loud, beaming with just as much light. I keep picturing him in the winter time, even though he died in the summer of his first year at Cornell. He is standing in a phone booth wearing a walnut brown distressed leather jacket with a sheepskin collar and big tortoise shell glasses. He's got my kind of thick, straight black hair sweeping around his head. I can see his breath. He's on the side of a highway somewhere, and everything is covered by a thin veil of snow. Yet still, the streetlight's beam is pouring down around him, a cone of light in the darkness of make-believe, ready to pull him out of his fake memory. I can hear the sound of his tenderness, making his Korean sound like a bell on a mountain breeze. Luna.
Robert. Our family went from pinching our cheeks to making us share our food. No one really noticed how much you looked like Dad until your growth spurt that, like a trowel, spread your baby fat out neat and thin. Your cheekbones are high and exposed now, our faces and bodies growing into the architecture of our father's youth. The ley lines of this vanished state are on our knees and thighs and your back. There's a bright pink dress with cream polka dots the size of 500 won coins and shoulder straps fastened with hot pink plastic. I pass this dress in a shop window every morning on the way up to Dad's office in Soju, Seoul. It's summer and we are with our estranged father in our estranged home. I am 12 and I think that dress will solve my problems. I will look good and someone will like me enough to relieve my left hand of its duties to my right hand, which holds it at night so I can pretend it's someone else. It takes me a month to work up the courage one night on our walk home to ask Dad and you to wait a minute. My Korean is as clumsy and undeveloped as my body, but I ask the ajumma if I can try on the dress. My dad pushes his phone through the curtain. Mom is on the other end. I hang up the phone, change, and run home in the dark because, yes, Mom, I have noticed. I run like I'm running away from every beautiful woman I have seen that doesn't look like me. Statuesque Korean women whose thighs don't shave and bone structures don't compel their moms to ask if they want to get their cheekbones shaved down. All the notes of our door click and bang and squeak. You are home and the symphony ends before it begins. Quiet. You are limping and your face is sweat-polished with stoicism. Summer two-a-days. Right hand holds on ice back to your knee, but you keep all your gear on. You don't sit down. You tower over me in your white plastic armor. We are getting ready for your second daily manhood mass, a mass that begins with Coach Woodfield holding a football over all of your heads, everyone shouting, "Kill, kill, kill," in unison. We share this masochism, but we express it differently. Maybe all of this will make you feel more whole the way my runs will make me a woman. Cut you up and carve you out the way my 1 grapefruit, 1 avocado, and 2 miles do. 10 stories up in Seoul, and you're more handsome than ever. We are standing in the elevator of Dad's apartment building. You finished college and I just started, but not much has changed. I watch you make silly faces in the mirror mounted on the elevator. You are pretending to amuse yourself, but you are just scrutinizing yourself. This is before the idea of fitness being equated to sex appeal has found much of a foothold in Korea, so there aren't many gyms or men who look like you. It's lots of white steamed rice and fat marbled beef and svelte men in sharp outfits you don't understand. The fat you are looking for isn't there when you press the flesh between your finger and thumb together, demarcating it as your last barrier to satisfaction. Your plane leaves 2 weeks before mine because you want to be back in the gym. It's your 26th birthday, and you and your girlfriend, Sharon, make a reservation. You want to see where I work. I lie and tell you I can get the day off. Cook's hours, sorry, but come anyways. I see you in the back, table 20. If I was working, you'd be right next to me on the other side of my station. The lighting is dim, but I got my 100 watts on, and our dad's dimples burrow deep while we embrace. I did it, I surprised you. This is my first time spending time with Sharon, and I want to get on all fours with my palms down. I want to stand up and get back down over and over. Pray to her like Dad showed me in all those temples. Mom thinks she's ugly, but Mom is a fucking bitch sometimes, and if she opened her eyes for a second, she would take a knee. You are talking, you're engaged. I feel your love for me, and it's because of her womanhood, and her love. Maybe you'll be a dad soon, and you'll have the 10 kids so you can play basketball with them like you talked about.
A question. Can I really say I'm bi if I've never dated a girl? If the only kiss I've ever had was wind-whipped high school hetero, us 16 and leaning against snow-capped trees with his lips on mine. A kiss with the boy who always thought something was up with me, that I wasn't all straight before I even knew it myself. Am I bi if I don't look gay and no one ever looks sideways at me on the street? If I never clip my hair short or wear Converse like the queer girls that sometimes now grace my screen? If no one suspects me as if it's something to hide? Am I bi if every girl I've ever liked was straight or unattainable or uninterested? If I can't seem to flirt with girls, if I'm petrified by their gorgeous smiles and intimidating strikes of winged eyeliner? If I knocked over a broom trying to talk to the beautiful new hire at my high school job, and if I've forgotten my order in front of girls at cash registers, and if I fell in love with my friend and never told her? Am I bisexual if, as some men like to claim, all women are bisexual? Or if we're all a little bi? Am I bi if people knock the B out of the acronym? Am I bi as if they say it's only indecision or greed? If I really don't know what I want? Am I bi if I wear a white dress and marry a man, have children, live a life as straight as an arrow in a nuclear family? And am I bi if even then I still sit up questioning at 2 a.m., wondering what it must be like to kiss a girl's soft lips, until even this thought fades into the background of my divided mind, until I only know that in this binary I can't be one or the other? Am I still bi then?
Could you listen to yourself tell the truth? Eat the same shit every day, and it'll kill you. Somewhere in the world, the barn is falling apart with the mice still inside. It echoes in the temples of the fat summer flags. Then who is left to bless this dirty winter world? Not we, who reap the solid scorched earth, while we turn our eyes to Rorschach stars.
Forever evolving, catering objectified by the pecking order. Clueless, worthless, lifeless. Just a caricature of carcasses past, unadorned by nature. Beckoned, summoned, projected ubiquitously, infinitely trapped in a metastasis as a scapegoat, for the sheep, the swarm, the teeming tyrannical, the ravaging race of magnificent misnomers, to coddle, pander, and indulge the transgressions which coerce predestined phases of boundless supremacy, just to revolve, to cater, and be objectified by the pecking order.
I miss you. When gazing from afar, his skin looks like it should feel of hot burning metal, the reddish tint slipping through the chocolate flesh and upsurging to the surface. As he opens up his mouth, you can hear the roar that left his lips, the lips that used to belong to innocence. The chalky aftertaste of the powdery pill used to calm and control the beast, lazily gazing at you behind pale lids, is easy to sense in his stale breath. The quivering can be seen in his stance. His bones begin to shake as well. They show through so much more now due to the medicine that makes him frail and sick. The smell of green leaves envelops the cotton that clings to his skin. That stench is now sick at nature to his presence. A foreign sense of sadness lodges in your chest at the sight of such paranoia and fear in a grown man's eyes. A man old enough to taste the bitter liquor on his tongue, a man old enough to live on his own, cannot. Because the chemicals control his erratic behaviors and frustrations, he is unstable. Your frustrations and fatigue begin to show through as well, in the form of tears. You cannot give up on him, because of the promise that bubbles in his blood, which simmers in a familiar rhythm to yours.
Against the body, against the name. It chisels at the joint filling, being called repeatedly by the wrong name. The feeling of body crashing title wears away at the cartilage. It's no wonder the flesh here absorbs itself. Keep folding the paper in half denser and smaller until no more halves can be found. How does this body belong to me? In the way of a thought, a meal, a name, in the way of holding someone else's burning cigarette? I am being made of something outside myself. We are made of something edible and impermanent. When was the last time you learned a new name? Do you remember? Think back to it. Say the name. Put it in a larger room, now say it again. Do you remember how your mouth learned this trick? Does your tongue feel the same as it did before? Recall the face of the name. Can you remember the way the bones bulged against the skin? Which parts were soft? Which were hard? Think about what you are missing. Fill them in with the letters of the name. Do you remember the length of the sleeves? Do you remember all of the colors? This thing that you've newly learned has had weight for longer, since before you noticed. Think of the places it may have moved the earth. I wonder as I undress if he is surprised at how much there is. Some of them want to own this thing, which is ancient and timeless and vast. I wonder how he thinks he will hold it when it is made of fruit trees and waves and the outermost edge of the universe. I am growing in ways we cannot watch or grip. There is a knowing, a scene in this body. When was the last time you heard your own name spoken aloud? Did it come out the way you thought it would? Did it fall or fly? Did you catch it in the way of a tossed ball or a disease? Think of how your feet shifted on the earth to accommodate your name's weight. Now put your name down and pull it open. Look into the holes in your name. Fill them with the ashes of yourself. Weigh the ashes against the body, against the name. Take the one which weighs the most and throw it. Does it fly the way you thought it would? Write down the sound your name makes when it touches the earth again. Think back to the first time you held your name in your hands, the way you coveted the name, and then the way you paraded it. Do you remember how much your small body felt when you finally knew what it was called? Take back this feeling, this selfish, gluttonous pride. Rub it into your skin until you feel it in the flesh. Keep going into the bones. Remind yourself that this body is made of words, this name is made of meat, that the weight of it all keeps you tied to the earth. The name cannot be folded and the body cannot be burned. You are not made of ashes. You are heavy with identity, a load you and the earth will share together, holding firmly and gently to the weight of it.
Every night as the star had risen, the thought of escape would cross. We divulged our truths and hearkened their lies, over pain that would never leave and freedom that was lost. Inquiring the men upstairs, we questioned, what did we do? Accustomed to torment, death had become lush. We wept in the mix of the commotion, become silence, practice prayer, but never you fuss. They now cry tears of gas through legions of incarceration, where brilliance is attacking their might. In the backdrop stands an entity feigning duty, imbued with silence, while gems are being garnished and crows soar through the night. Too black, too brown, too greasy and animalistic, a people are burning from a tattoo like fire. One clause there creates a protest here. Oh look, Ferguson is winning, but Plessy is tired. They claim peace where peace is absent. There will be change when separation says bye. Grieve, oh grieve, ungrateful supreme, for this world shall wither when black things die.
Snowflake, you call me, wrapping me up in this snowstorm of inexactness, of generalization. Gnashing your teeth, you fill with rage when I express my own discontent in the disconnect between life for you and death for another. Do you not understand the way your words impact each other? Blind to your own resentment, deaf to your own displeasure, do you see the consequences of your actions? Do you know how it feels? You zealot, you uncompromising fanatic, you hard-headed dog bearing teeth when all we want is peace.